Good evening, everybody. My name is Coach Gonzalez. I am the head track and field coach at Manhattan High School. And today I'm here with Coach Bellamy, Steve Bellamy, and he's also the head track and field coach at Reigns High School.
How's everybody doing?
All right, so the 411 on playing at the next level.
Okay, so what we want to do is to kind of share some of our secrets, some information in reference to knowledge about recruiting that you might not know. Because a lot of times parents tend to depend totally on the coaches to get their child in college. And I think we have to get beyond that to make sure that I try to do, and I know Coach Gonzalez tries to do, because you'll find out why, because we're kind of, real close. We got a little history way back, but he kind of piggyback off a lot of stuff I did and took it to another level. But we try to make sure that our parents are very knowledgeable about the recruiting process. It's not as easy as you think it is. There are a lot of those small details. If you miss it, your child will miss it. There's some things, some personal questions. Hopefully, you guys will ask us at the end that we'll be able to share with you in reference to your child. Because we have athletes that may have the same personalities or tendencies of your child, and hopefully we can help them get over that hurdle or maybe go to the next level as well. So hopefully you enjoy the presentation, and look forward to answering questions at the end.
All right, guys, real quick. So we're going to go over some social media etiquette today. All right, so please make sure your child's social media account is public so the coaches may contact them. Make sure you are using your legal name, your child's legal name. Do not use foul language. Be aware of what you're posting, retweeting, and liking. Vulgar language and gestures. Coaches don't want that type of behavior representing their college program. Freedom of speech does not equal freedom from consequences. Some more social media etiquette. This is some athletes that were posting certain things and had their scholarships revoked and whatnot. A trash talking, profane tweet cost a New Hampshire boys basketball player his State Player of the Year award. It was online in only 15 minutes. Marquette University resigned a incoming student scholarship and offered admission after screenshots of a Snapchat she posted commenting on George Floyd's death. A Division I college program in North Carolina stopped recruiting a quarterback because its recruiting coordinator thought it was excessive for a player to post 16 times a day on social media.
Let me piggyback on something. I'm gonna go back to the screen 4. This is, by the way, I'm gonna give credit where credit due. Coach Gonzalez did a great job of putting this together as far as a PowerPoint presentation. We chatted, but I'm a kind of guy that kind of freelances, what may have you. But like I said, with 26 years of coaching and putting over hundreds of kids in college, I kind of got a good feel for it. With the social media etiquette, let me jump on that real hard. I'm constantly reminding my kids that 5-star Willie is not your nickname. It's not your government name. Or jump out the gym, whoever, Steve. I'm just throwing out names, I don't know. Or Clem Cadilla Hopper, whoever. That is not your social name, media. Well, it is written, you might be, well, they can still find me. No, coaches don't want to go through all that to try to find out who you are. Just put your simple name. If my name is Steve Bellamy, put Steve Bellamy. Now, if you want to set up a separate account, I'm not talking about vulgar, but a separate account, have your child say, okay, well, you can set up a personal separate account, but make sure you set up an athletic account with your name on it. And don't use some foul language on there. When you do videos, put is a curse word every other word, and they don't fit. Now you might have younger coaches might think it's cute, what may have you, but at the end of the day, you pretty much tell them what your personality is, and that might not be your personality. It just might be that's your generation, and most coaches understand that. But to keep it simple, your first and last name, everything that you're doing, um, awards that you receive, your practices, keep it simple, keep it business, and I guarantee you, your child will definitely get a little more looks. So I just wanted to touch base on that because, as he mentioned about the quarterback commit, and we can probably we've had Steve and I have talked on numerous occasions about horror stories about kids and their social media. Well, like I said, some coaches don't care, but don't take that chance and just put anything on social media or in reference to you if you're hanging out or you're partying, that should be on your personal account, not on your athletic account. Really encourage them to keep it separate if they just got to have another account. So I just wanted to piggyback on what Coach Gonzalez said, and I'll now pass the mic back over to him.
All right, so we'll keep picking off. It looks like Florida commit quarterback will be searching for a new college to attend next year. On Sunday, November 20th, the high school student lost his athletic scholarship after a video surfaced on social media of the teen using racial slurs. All right, the next important thing, we're going to skip on that last one, but the next important thing talks about the NCAA clearinghouse, the Play NAIA. It talks about FAFSAA, FAFSA, and then Bright Futures. The links are there underneath the gets to those sites. This PowerPoint can be shared later on. My suggestion is, guys, if you plan on trying to become a collegiate athlete in Division 1, 2, or 3, you have to do the NCAA clearinghouse. All right, and I suggest that you do the NCAA clearinghouse after your sophomore year, going into your junior year, preferably over the summer. It is the best time to do it. I know a lot of students at different schools that their senior year, I asked them, hey, have you guys done your NCAA clearinghouse? And they're like, Coach, what is that? What are you talking about? And I just put my palm to my face and I'm just like, oh boy. So I sit them down, I let them know what it is, and I tell them that they got to go talk to their counselors and get that ball starting ASAP. Um, if your child is not planning to play NCAA and they're thinking about NAIA, they got to go to Play NAIA. The website's there. It should be completed again summer of their sophomore year, going into their junior year. Financial aid information is always available in October. And that's something that you need. Most schools have a parent night where they sit all the parents down and they go over the FAFSA stuff, financial aid information. And then Bright Futures is also on there. The website is on there and it gives you all the information that you need. X amount of community service hours, X GPA on top of X test scores that you will need to be able to qualify, being 50, 75, or 100% of Bright Futures, which covers tuition.
Um, I'm sorry. Also, too, I want to piggyback on two things on the clearinghouse. I'll say here at Ranks High School. I'm not sure how different schools are different. Um, when it comes down to the clearinghouse, as Coach Gonzalez say, you get it done, get out the way. You, if you want to go ahead and pay that fee, check with your guidance counselor, excuse me, and see if they provide waivers. Some of them have waivers, so that way you might not have to pay. Now, I'll say at some schools they say, well, we don't do it for underclass. We got to wait till your junior year. We'll pay the waiver then. Okay, that's fine. You say, well, I'm gonna go ahead and just pay and get out of the way. But understand how the clearinghouse works now. Your child cannot take an official visit until he goes through the clearinghouse. They're going to ask you, do you have a clearinghouse number? Now, there's been myths saying that, oh no, but I took an official visit and I have a clearinghouse number. That wasn't an official visit. And I'm not telling you what somebody told me, I'm telling you what I know because I've had this conversation with numerous coaches before. So they may go to an NAIA school for a visit and may not need the clearinghouse. And I think that's where they got confused. But if you go to Division 1, Division 2, you have to have a clearinghouse number. That's period. Now, to touch base also too on what he was talking about, the financial aid. Steve and I talked about it. He listened to me go through it this summer. I was so frustrated with one of my athletes. It's funny now, so I can laugh about it now. When you're doing your financial aid, I think it's up to 10 schools that you can put down. You put down, I had a kid put down the University of Florida, Florida State, University of Miami, every Division I Power 5 school in the country. Well, FIU, Livingstone, and two other Division II schools were recruiting them. So he added them to his financial aid. Here's the problem. They only allow you 8 schools. So the 9th, 10th, and 10th schools were the schools that actually was offering him scholarships. So we kept trying to figure out what's the hold up, why y'all haven't seen it. They said, oh, because the financial aid department didn't get it because you got these other schools ahead of him. So he had to go back and delete those schools that he hadn't even got accepted into out the way. So it's important to understand that about your financial aid. Make sure you read to make sure and be realistic about what schools your child is going to. You know, I mean, everybody wants to go to Florida, but I'll just speak honestly for track. Coach Holloway, unless you're running world-class times, he's not going to recruit you. So unless you're going to walk on, you know, that's fine. And I'm gonna say one more thing, Steve, then I'll move on. But this is such a great presentation that Steve put together. Something I shared with him, and I wish I could put it on the screen, but I can't. I sent Steve, a young man a football player, was on social media bragging about he had, got the scholarship I'm going to call it college. I ain't got to call the kid's name. McPherson College. Well, they gave him $16,536. And people say, oh, that's a full scholarship. That's a lot of money. Well, he has a 3.7. It said also too, the academic portion of the scholarship awarded is based upon your self-reported GPA of 3.75. That's what he reported. That's not his official transcript. So where am I going with this, Coach Bellamy? I did some research. It costs $44,616 to go to that institution. And it's not even guaranteed that he has a 3.75. And that football money is based off of his academic scholarship. So what am I saying about financial aid? Some people say, well, I ain't gonna do financial aid because my child gonna get a scholarship. Or I'm not gonna do financial aid because I might not get no money because I make too much money. Do the financial aid, find out how much they get, and then at least now you know where you stand. I don't know if that makes sense, but you always want to do research on how much the school costs for in-state, out-state. You want to do research away from that athletic part. Hey, my child has a 3.7, 3.6 GPA admissions. Coach Gonzalez, you're the admissions director. How much money can my child get out on the academic side? This is how much money he get on the academic side. Okay, fine. Coach Bellamy, how much money you gonna give me my son for sports? I'm gonna give him this. Okay, so I combine the two. Now I may have 40,000, 39,000, but at the end of the day, I know how much I'm not getting anything for financial aid because the most you're gonna probably get is 7,500, if I'm not mistaken. So you're not getting a whole lot anyway for that. But do the financial aid anyway to see how much you get, because a lot of schools will give you in school grant money based off your scholarship, off what you get off of financial aid. Whether you get some or you don't, they'll look at that and say, well, we'll help them out in school away from the financial aid to help you get some money. Okay, I just wanted to piggyback on that because I get excited about that stuff. So, Steve, you go ahead. Okay.
All right, guys, real quick. So to clarify, Play NAIA is the NAIA's version of the NCAA clearinghouse. So you have to register through them, send them transcripts, just like you had to do the NCAA clearinghouse, and they what's the word I want to use? They determine if you're eligible or not to play in the NAI, and they have different rules as far as how many foreign languages you need and GPA and total core classes that you need to take. Another thing, the big piggyback off Coach Bellamy with the FAFSA, the financial aid stuff. Even though if you may think you make too much money and you don't want to do it, you even though you do financial aid in the state of Florida, you can get like the Florida Pell Grant, Florida Residence Grant. So there are grants that you do get that help with offset the tuition costs. All right, next slide. We're on slide number 8. And there's some information on there. If you need help while filling out the FAFSA form, select the white question mark icon next to the FAFSA question to view a tooltip that provides information about how to answer the question. You can also chat with our virtual assistant by clicking the box in the bottom right. So here's some information, guys. If you need help with the FAFSA form, just go on there and they'll help you out. You can chat with people and the whatnots. All right, going to slide number 9. So questions that you need. These are, and this is my opinion. Coach Bellamy might have his own as well, but did you know? So some of the things you might want to ask the coach once you get a chance to go on the unofficial visit or even unofficial visit is ask what type of academic support would my child or your athlete receive? What happens if my son or daughter gets injured? Do you understand the difference? You as a parent, do you understand the difference in divisions? All right. Another question could be is what are the housing accommodations like? What about scholarships, financial aid packages? What are athletes? What other athletes are you recruiting? And how is the campus environment on and off the campus? Yeah, bam. All right. So some questions on that I went on Twitter and asked. And I asked, coaches, what are some uh, things you give the athletes that you can ask them, when getting recruited. My friend Adrian Wilson stated that can they see themselves being at the school if they are no longer able to compete? Coach Leah stated being recruited for track and field is not the same as it's being recruited for football, basketball, volleyball, or any other team sport. This other coach, your performance are compared to what it takes to score points in the conference that schools compete in. Your value is not based on the possibility potential. It is based on what your average performance are.
I want to piggyback off of one thing that Coach Wilson said. Can they see themselves being at the school if they were no longer able to compete? Would you want to sit down with your child and say, have them make a list? And this is what I get my athletes to do. And even when Coach Gonzalez, believe it or not, I coached him. I might be telling my age, but when Coach Gonzalez I was recruiting way back. I didn't really know what I was doing way back then. I ain't say way back. Okay, but what I do now with my athletes, and I share with other coaches, have them write down 10 schools, or maybe 5. Keep it simple. What are your top 5 Power 5 schools that you're interested in? What are your top 5 Division 1 schools? Division 2, NAIA, HBCU, junior colleges. Coach, I didn't think about all that. I'm not asking you to do that. Just do some research. I'll give you a week. Get back with me. Now, I also asked them, if you were not an athlete, what schools would you be interested in? Okay, let me give you a better personal example. Bernard Middleton. I love Bernard. I'm gonna use him for example. Some of you might remember he ran for Wilson back in the day when they were state. Did they win a state championship? I think they won a state championship. Bernard was a phenomenal athlete. He ran, of course, he had great coaches at Wilson. He ran with my track club during the summer. My 4x4 went 312 that year with him on it. I couldn't convince Coach Holloway to give him a scholarship. For some reason, I'd give him a partial. But Tennessee and he had about 6 Power 5 scholarship offers. He turned them all down because he always wanted to go to Florida. So That made me start thinking, and that might have been early 2000s. I can't remember. So it's not if a kid wants to go to Florida, but he gets a scholarship to Clemson Cadilla Hopper University. He chose to take the partial scholarship, but he ended up being very happy there, and he ended up being, academically and socially. So, like Coach Gonzalez said, what happens if he gets injured? Well, if he gets injured and he can't run the ball, he gonna still be happy because he at school where he want to be. So, if a child is getting a scholarship offer and he can walk on and have to get academic money, that's something to think about. And I just use him for example because I know Steve know Bernard Milton and some of you that know track and field. And I'm just using track. I'm sure there are other examples on football, basketball, the same thing because that's just where it is. I'm saying this last thing. Back many moons when I was at Florida State. I won't tell you how long ago, but many moons. I found out by accident that half of the team, actually maybe 67% of Florida State's baseball team was walk-ons. I said, what? That's impossible. They win in national championships. They ranked every year, but half of the team, more than half of the team was walk-ons. Didn't know that. So they wanted to be at Florida State. So that's just something I'm not going to prolong it. It's just something to think about. Make sure your child is going to a school where they're going to be happy and they're going to flourish. Because, like I say, if they're not happy with the coach, if they're not happy with the atmosphere, then they're going to be miserable. So that's all I want to say about that.
Guys, the most important thing about the whole recruiting process too is making sure that they're going to a school that has their major. You know, happens they can't go to Florida and they say they want to be an astronaut if Florida doesn't offer a major in being an astronaut or whatever the case may be. You gotta go to Emory Riddle. All right, so to keep it moving, more information about the NAIA, NCAA, and NJCAA, which is the National Junior College Athletic Association. So with the NCAA, you had to have the 4x4, which equals 16. So how does the NCAA calculate GPA? Your core class GPA is calculated on a 4.0 scale. Only your core courses will be used when determining your GPA with the NCAA. There are 16 core courses covering the subjects of English, math, natural physical science, social science, foreign language, comparative religion, philosophy. Each course meets with your high school. Each high school has its own list of NCAA approved core courses. Meet with your high school counselor to confirm the classes and to meet the GPA requirements. Something that I do identify my athletes before their freshman year or the freshman year, and I sit down and make sure that if the classes are available, that they take their foreign language, being Spanish. At Mandarin, we offer Spanish and sign language. So I make sure that their freshman and sophomore year, they knock those things out. Coach, we had a piggyback off that, or
Oh yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Coach.
Oh yeah, I got something to say about that. I'll be real short. I'm gonna try to, because boy, I hear this all the time. Ninth grade year. I mean, get on your children's nerves about them doing their work and having a high GPA. The biggest problem with most athletes is that they try to play catch up after their ninth grade year. Because believe it or not, they're really, for the most part, you talk about 13 and 14-year-old kids coming into an atmosphere where basically almost 18, 19-year-old, they almost grown. So they're trying to adapt. Sometimes adapting is hard. So you got to really, that ninth grade year as a parent, you got to really stay on top of your child. It may be tiring, but you got to stay on top of them about doing their work, their homework, make sure the grades are right, the whole 9 yards. And toward the end, this is the big thing. All right. I'm not even going to charge you for this part. Stay on the guidance counselors. I don't care if you get on their nerves. I don't care if they talk about you in the office. That parent getting on my nerves. Oh, you know who that is out front? Oh, yeah, she out here. Yes, because I want to make sure that my child has all the courses that they need to have completed. Here's why. I literally had a kid. I get a call from the parent saying they got an email from the NCAA clearinghouse saying that he's not eligible. What the hell is that? Because the guidance counselor took him out of a class and did not tell the parent that they took him out of class. The parent didn't know. They think, okay, well, the guidance counselor know what they're doing. But on the clearinghouse, they needed that class. So the child had to end up taking the class, rush taking during the summer to pass it, to be eligible for the fall. So get on their guidance counselor's nerves. Mama, you embarrass me. Son, be quiet. A child, girl, be quiet. I'm going to embarrass you because I need to make sure that you're straight academically. I just had to say that. That's that.
We as coaches can only do so much, so we're going to need the help of the parents, making sure that they're double checking. I know for me and my program at Mandarin on early release Wednesdays, we do a study hall from the time that we get out at 12:15 until about 2:15. We go to the auditorium or in the cafeteria or in the gym, and we do a study hall. At 2:15, we get ready, we go, and we head towards practice. Um, my kids are already accustomed to every 3 weeks screenshot their grades off focus and they send it to me or any of my assistant coaches, depending on what group they're in. So we have that culture that we're building, that every 3 weeks I need to see your grades. If not, then hey, we go talk to the teachers along with the kids, and hey, what can they do? Do they need a study hall? Do they need extra tutoring? When do you have tutoring? All that stuff is offered at your school. I'm pretty sure it is, and they need to be there if it needs to happen. I mean, the academics is more important at the end of the day than uh, I hate to say, but missing practice. So they have to go get those grades if they want to go to a Florida or Oregon, or even if not even that. At the end of the day, it's more important is making sure they graduate from high school. That's the most important thing there is out there, because not every athlete that we coach at the end of the day is going to go to the Florida States, the Edward Waters College, the South Floridas, the Miamis. Me and Coach Bentley spoke today. He has a kid, I believe, that wants to become a firefighter or an EMT. I had in previous, when I have a kid that even this year that he doesn't want to go to college, he wants to go be an electrician. Hey man, I support you either way, but we got to make sure we have these grades, because at the end of the day, you still need the grades to be able to get a scholarship, to be able to get financial aid, to be able to get your school paid for and be as free as much as possible. All right, go ahead.
All right, real quickly. Very good. That's very good, Coach. Right there, when he up top, he talks about the national average of the ACT is a 21. Well, I had a kid tell me today in practice. I was telling him, man, you guys that are taking in February, you need to come to Saturday school so you guys be prepared for the test. So of course you got that one kid that thinks he's smarter than everybody. He said, well, Coach, it don't even really matter for us to take the test, because in about a year or two, they're not going to even ask for it. That's okay. All right, Mr. Know-it-all, no problem. Okay. Coach, I'm just saying. I said, no problem. So I sent the team to warm up. Now this actually happened today. So I won't call the school, I called a particular coach. And I'll tell you about it later, Coach Gonzalez. I called him. I said, hey, Coach, what's up, buddy? He said, hey, what's going on? Hey, you know about with the kids that you recruiting, what do they need to have? Oh, they don't have a 24, Coach. I'm not even looking at them. I said, okay. So they don't have a 24. He said, Coach, I don't care about the time. I don't know if they're going to be able to handle the workload that, well, go on. They might do well, Coach. Said, Coach. And Steve, I ain't going to bring it up because I don't want to jump ahead again, but it's a thing called TP. You understand what it is now? I'll go get that kid versus take a chance with this kid who's not taking the test serious. They got the GP. No, he need to take tests. I thought, okay, that's all right. That's what you said, Coach. He said, why? I said, no, I just want him to hear from somebody other than me. So the kid was looking crazy. I said, now you going to start going to Saturday school? Yeah, Coach. I mean, plus, you can get more academic money if you got a test score. I mean, if you're going in as a student, not an athlete, he said, "Oh, I didn't know that, coach." I said, "Yeah, okay." So start trying to outsmart me, son. Just listen, and it's right there in black and white if you pay attention. So anyway, Steve, I just want to add that to that. That's a very good point.
Yes, sir. So Coach Bentley spoke earlier about the waiver. It's up there in on the top part where it says insider tip. The NCAA uses what is called a combined score, super score, SAT test score. That means that you add the math and add the reading score and do not use the written score when determining your NCAA eligibility. You can take the SAT as many times as you want necessary during your high school. The NCAA will use your highest single math and reading score and then add them together to get your best SAT score combined. Sending test scores after you have taken the SAT. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. So when you go register for your SAT, make sure that each school has a school code. When you guys are registered for the SAT, make sure you put that school code on your SAT or ACT, and that way those scores get automatically sent to your school. If you forget to do it and you forget to add it onto your NCAA clearinghouse as well, because the NCAA clearinghouse has their own code, you will have to pay, I believe it's like a $20 fee to get it uploaded onto the NCAA clearinghouse. If you already have taken the SAT, you have two options. You can send the scores to the NCAA for free up to the 9 days after the test date. However, it's been more than 9 days. You'll need to go. I'm sorry, it says on here $12. Be advised, you will cost $12 for free. All right. Uh, okay, NAIA freshman eligibility. To be eligible for the NAIA competition, a freshman student must be a graduate of an accredited high school or be accepted as a regular student in good standings at an enrolling institution. Meet two of the three entry level academic requirement. Now, mind you, this is very, very different than the NCAA clearinghouse. Test score, minimum score of 18 on the ACT or 860 on the SAT. Critical reading, math sections only. Or high school GPA, minimum overall high school GPA of a minimum overall on a 2.0 scale to a 4.0 scale, or be in the top 50% of your high school graduating class. So for the NAIA, you got to have two out of the three to be considered eligible as a freshman. Go ahead, Coach Bellamy.
Okay, let me say something on that to piggyback on what Coach is saying too. Two important elements. And since we're talking about NAI, but let me talk about a Division One school. I'm using an example. I think at the school you had to have at least a 20. Okay, I'll take it back 3 years. Had a kid that went on a visit, what may have you, and to get in the school required her to make a 21 on the SAT. She made a 19. So the parents told me, well, if the coach really want her, they'll find a way to get in. And believe it or not, that is partially true. But how many kids they have like that? I actually had a kid. I forgot what they call it. Where they actually, I had it happen at FIU, where his GPA was a little, no, not, I'm sorry, his test score, but they put him in a file, and they actually got him in. He was they, I think the athletic department has waivers, X amount of waivers that they can use on a kid. Their GPA may be a little lower, or they'll get them enrolled in maybe a summer enrichment program or something to get him in that school. I've had many kids. I think FSU has a care program. I think another school has a summer enrichment program. Everybody got a different names. So if your kids fall a little short sometimes, they'll say, okay, fine, we'll get him in. Because at the end of the day, the school is saying no. The school and the athletic department don't always work on the same page. So it's best to really try to take that test score very seriously, which means that the same amount of money that you are investing to get your son or your daughter training, travel squad, travel league, I'm sorry, tournaments, 707 track clubs, with AAU basketball. Spend the same amount of money invested in them getting tutoring or ACT, SAT prep. There are a lot of good people out there to do that, because at the end of the day, that may be the deciding factor of your kid getting into school or not, because they may not have any seats available for them to get in a care program or to get in a client program or to get in whatever type of summer program they have, or even to get, they might not have the waivers left from the athletic department to get your child in. So I just want to pick, because that was an excellent point, Steve. I just want to piggyback on that.
All right. So the next thing is an important thing to do is while on Twitter, some colleges might use Instagram. Is creating an athlete's profile. On the left of your screen, that is Quincy Burrows. Played wide receiver and also ran track for Rains High School. I believe now he's at Wisconsin.
Yeah, he just went in transfer portal. He's not in Wisconsin.
He's not at Wisconsin. And that is an example of his. He graduated last year, so he's at Wisconsin now. Of his athlete profile. On the right side is a athlete from Mandarin High School, Jalen Lewis. This is his freshman times. I just made something up for him. Again, he's a freshman last year. He's a starting sophomore this year. As a freshman, he ran 1098, 2240, 53. Long jump 21.5. His GPA is 2.75. Other things that you have that I suggest to put on your athlete's profile, and I think Coach Bellamy has it on his. His is a little smaller, so I really can't see it. Contact information, your NCAA ID number, the head coach's name, and also his contact information. And that way, once you put it on, I'm gonna say Twitter because I'm big on Twitter. Coach Bellamy's big on Twitter. We put it on Twitter. We blast it out. We tag certain hot coaches and colleges, whatnot. It'll get retweeted. Coaches will see it. Now they know how to, hey, all right, this is a kid from Florida. Let me call Coach Gonzalez up. Oh, this is other kid from Florida from Rains. Let me call Coach Bellamy up. Or, hey, Coach G, do you know the coach at Rains? I need to get in contact with him because I know he has 2 athletes. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, Coach, I got him. That's a good friend of mine. He's my mentor. He's my old coach. I can definitely plug you in with him. And Coach Bellamy does his thing vice versa. You know any kids in the area? We're looking for some girls, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Coach Gonzalez has some girls over there at Mandarin that I think you'll be very interested in. And that's been done in the past.
Ooh, let me jump in on that. Boy, Steve, that's a great point. Something I started doing years ago, and Quincy actually got mad at me about this profile. He said, Coach, I'm not 6'3". I said, you are 6'3", Quincy. But he didn't want to be listed as 6'3" because he was afraid that from a football perspective, they would recruit him as a tight end instead of a receiver. I'm telling you, 6'3" receivers are common now. Coach, can you put me down as 6'1" or 6'1 and a half? Quincy, you're 6'3". Now, why is that a big difference in college? I mean, collegiate, because a 6'3" sprinter, well, they looking at that like, oh, goodness, boy, if you know anything about track, you like, okay. Now they're looking at his times. Well, Coach, let me ask you about this kid right here. Well, he's on. I said, no, something Coach Gonzalez and I do, because that's the type of athlete he was. I really drive home progression. I'm looking at his kid. And that was his first sophomore. He's a sophomore now. That was his first. Well, let me get in contact with Coach Gonzalez, because if he's running 10.98, 22 now, okay, I can see me. Let me keep my eye on this kid on the radar. Now, do y'all see on there? Let me see your name. I'm gonna use it because this is my coach. Do y'all see Sam Burley on the athletic profile? And Sam Burley ran 10.5 as a freshman. He might be on Florida Runners, and he might be all on the internet. But how do I get in contact with this kid? Okay, well, I'm seeing a perfect example. I almost called the school. I don't want to do that. Kid here locally was one of the top quarterbackers in this just a few years ago. I'll hit out. He's at Florida State. I'll just say that. We at the state track meet, And the coach is asking me, hey man, we've been trying to get in contact with Clem Hopper, and we sent letters and letters to the school, but nobody's responding. Well, the coach didn't work at the school. So they don't know how to get in contact with him. So I took it upon myself to create him a profile. So now the schools are calling him all over the place because they was like Coach Gonzalez said, Twitter and Instagram. So now they know how to get in contact. He didn't have a profile. Nobody knew how to get in contact with him. They didn't know they didn't know how to get. They sent letters to the coach to the school, and the school was not giving the letters to the coach. So the coach was not giving the letters to the kid. I just thought I'd throw that out about profile. Profiles are very important. So very good, Steve. Very good.
Something else that you can do is email the coach or position coach or the spring coach, whatever sport it is. You can email them. There's an example on here. Dear coach, so-and-so last name. Please, guys, address them. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever day it is. Let them know, highlight why you're interested in the program. Let them know what your name is. I'm in my sophomore year of high school in the city of Jacksonville. I will be graduating the year 2025. My GPA is this cumulative and that weighted. I believe that go cumulative, weighted, unweighted. My test scores, I haven't taken my test scores yet, but I plan to take them 2 months from now, whatever the date is. Give them a bit of information about yourself. To view your rest of your academic profile, highlights, videos, academics. So send them your schedule. Send them what we have what's called Florida Runners, which is Mile Split Florida. Send them the link so they can go on there and look over their times. I believe with basketball and football and baseball, I believe you guys use Max Preps. Softball uses Max Preps. So you send them the link to your profile, Max Preps. Huddle for football or even basketball, the schedule, give me your coach's information, the school address, all that. And then that's the bottom part attached to it. And then also I look forward from hearing from you, or hopefully, I pray that I hope, I look forward to hear from you. Thank you, Stephen Gonzalez, your email, your number, and then your social media handle with your legal name. All right.
Real quick, I'm gonna say because I don't want to prolong the session too long. I help kids, football players as well. I've even helped basketball players. One thing I've noticed about football players, sometimes your child may be at a school where they're waiting on recruiters to come through the school. So your coach, their coach may not be proactive. It goes back to the ABCs. Write down what schools you're interested in. Write down realistic schools that you can get in, meaning according to your athletic ability. Be honest with yourself. If this is something you want to do, or maybe I need to go to a small. Well, I may want to have big school aspirations, but I know I need to go to a smaller school because I need to be more in a classroom, smaller classroom settings, if that makes sense to anyone. So now, in me choosing a school, I reach out to school. Okay, let me go onto the website, which I show my athletes, the football players, how to do it. I actually did show some this week. Go onto the school. Okay, now what position you play? You're a defensive back. There's a defensive back coach. There's his email address right there. Email him. Send him your profile. I'll send you your Twitter link or whatever the situation is. There it is. Now he has it. Now he's in the loop. Don't always wait on the coach, the head coaches, people. They got a lot going on. And they might like it, and because Steve Gonzalez is a more high profile athlete than Steve Bellamy, well, he's going to talk about Steven Gonzalez every time they come through. Instead of say, well, they're not. A lot of times they don't ask, well, do you have anybody else that I need to talk to? No, because they so locked in on Steve. So you don't wait on them. You be proactive, parents, and you make the first move. Okay, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. We appreciate you taking your time out today for preparing for the college athletics. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact us. Our email information is right there. Coach Gonzalez is at Mandarin High School. Coach Bellamy is at Rains High School. And then I believe Ms. Copeland is going to open the floor up for any questions or concerns parents may have for us.
Good evening. I have a question regarding a senior, and he's currently not playing basketball, but he does want to play basketball in college. Should he have played basketball his senior year?
No, that goes back to what I said. I think I said earlier. I can't remember which slide it was. I'm not sure what schools he's interested in. Um, yeah, have him apply to whatever school he's interested in, whether it be a small school, may have you. Um, Reach out to the coach, find out what is their walk-on policy. Sometimes they have walk-on policy. Yeah, we do trial. A lot of schools, believe it or not, I'll use the FIU for example. Um, every year, they actually have put out a flyer for tryouts for track. I said, well, I didn't know they still did stuff like that. So some schools actually open up for tryouts for football, track, football, basketball, all the sports. So yeah, I would tell him, yeah, go for it. Because he'd be surprised. He definitely should be able to make the team. He just really got to be average. You don't have to be like LeBron James. As long as you're average, because he might be a good fit to the team. If that answers your question. Yeah, I see the chat. Could you talk about JUCOs? That's a great question. My godson actually, well, he's at North Texas now, but he was coaching at our Central, no, our Western Junior College. Is there a JUCO site as there is for NCAA? Not necessarily. I'm not sure about. They don't. Their entry situations are a little different because it's JUCO. I actually ran JUCO. Yeah, product. We were both actually products of JUCO. In some cases, now I'm not encouraging this. You don't even have to have your high school diploma at some colleges, JUCO, because they'll help you get your GED. So yeah, JUCO, I highly recommend it if you're trying to go to a higher level, regardless of school, what may have you, because I saw when my godson went there as a coach, he said he wished he had gone there before he went to the next level. So yeah, there's I think there are a few JUCOs. That depends on what the sport is. There are JUCOs in the state of Florida, and Coach Gonzalez just put up a link there as well. There are some JUCOs in the state of Florida, in this southeast, for depending on the sport. And I think they're even adding some prep schools or JUCOs, what may have you. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, definitely baseball. Baseball is huge. JUCO baseball is huge. It really is, because that's where a lot of people, they don't even, it's safe to say, and I think me and Steve talked about this earlier. He got me excited again with that question. Baseball, if you look at the rosters, they have a lot of JUCO kids. If you're starting, now here's the big thing, for football and basketball and other sports, they're starting to have a lot of transfer portal kids. So between transfer portal and JUCO, they're taking over recruiting. That's why it's so important that your children have the ABCs, which is the academics, and all the core stuff together, so that if I want to recruit your child, I can give them books and something else, because academic covers everything else. But like Coach Gonzalez says, because he actually used to play baseball, Florida has a lot of JUCO programs and a lot of kids playing on Division I level from JUCOs. So yeah, that's great. That's a great question right there. So I just want to say that.
All right. Well, we are going to honor everyone's time, which we all have too little of. Gentlemen, can't thank you two enough for your time, for your expertise, for the elaborative stories that really help make it realistic for all of us parents. I too am the parent of an athlete, so I was soaking up everything you had to say, specifically the examples, and texting my own son at the same time saying, did you know this? Did you hear about that? Always good. The more information you have, the better as a parent. It makes you feel better in this journey, this exciting journey that we're on. We'll call it exciting. We won't call it stressful. All right, everyone, thank you so much. If you do have additional questions for these coaches or your own school's coaches, don't be afraid to reach out. That's what they're there for. That's what they love. They're passionate about what they do. You can see that in the excitement and the presentation that they offered us tonight. And please do encourage your daughters and sons to talk to their coaches. I can't stress that enough. Yes, they're big and they have loud voices, but they are there because they love what they do. So please encourage your children to talk to their coaches. There's so many of them, and they want to help. They want to see your kids succeed just as much as you do. So that's my advice, unprompted, of course, but that's what it is for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. This will be available for you to review. In beginning of February 1st, you will find the recording of this course on our website, duvalschools.org/Parent Academy. I hope you will encourage your family and friends, neighbors to take a peek at it because there's full of information. All right, that's a wrap for this evening, gentlemen. You were magnificent. I can't thank you enough. We hope that you will come back and join us again in the future. All right, everyone, good night. Have a safe evening, and we hope to see you again at another Parent Academy course soon.